My name is Nic Rush. I am a guitarist. I've been playing guitar since I was 12 years old. I'm now currently at the ripe old age of 33. Spent the first good couple of years of my professional career in cover bands. That was from about the age of 16. So we're talking like 96 up until 2003. I was in rock cover bands. And then I had the opportunity to audition for a band called Watershed. And I spent 2003 till 2011 with Watershed. It was a great experience. I got to see a lot of the world. Germany, Austria, Switzerland, UK, Dubai. We spent time in the States as well. And since then, I played for about a year and a half with the legendary drummer from Just Ginger, Brent Harris, with Brent Harris and the Jam. Then I moved on to theatre work, so I spent the whole of last year, which was 2013, with the Barnyard Theatre production called Thank You for the Music. At the end of the year, I went to a theatre show at Emperor's Palace, which was called Rocking the Ages, and I'm now currently in a Barnyard Theatre production of a show called Time Warp, which is like a rock meets Broadway type of show. Lots of rock stuff, lots of guitar playing, which keeps me happy. Yeah, I've been a Yamaha endorsee proudly and very happily, because I really do enjoy the guitar, since 2011, I do believe. My first guitar from them was an SG-2000, which is a double cutaway, originally designed by Carlos Santana. So I'm not the type of player who will just take a guitar off the shelf at a store and play it like that. I do modifications to my guitar. So currently the SG is sitting with a Seymour Duncan JB in the back and white pearly gates at the front. Everything's white for coil splitting. And since I renewed my endorsement with Yamaha this year, my current weapon of choice is the Pacifica 611, which is an absolute beast. I've never really been into Strat style guitars before, but for some reason this guitar really does resonate with me. It's 22 frets, Seymour Duncan P90 in the front, and a Seymour Duncan Custom 5 at the back, which I find to be a deadly combination. As far as I am aware of, this was the first guitar on the market that sort of started doing the humbucker P90 in the front, and now we're seeing guitars all over the show come out with that pickup combo. That's an absolute machine. Tusk nut, Graftex saddles, coil splitting on the back pickup, three-way switch. So I'd probably say realistically I spend an equal amount of time on all three positions and split, as opposed to just N, which is the full humbucker. So out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sound combinations, I spend equal amounts of time there at the moment with the show I'm playing. It's a really diverse mix of, funky clean sounds to country type of vibes for some of the solos to screaming rock shredding solos. So my weapon of choice, this is the Yamaha Pacifica 611 HFM. H being for the hardtail guitar. So it's got locking tuners up at the top. This is a Tusk nut. 22 frets, maple neck, rosewood fingerboard. Seymour Duncan P90 in the front. Seymour Duncan Custom 5 at the back, which seems to be a very popular combination of pickups. The more guitars are coming out lately with this pickup combination of a P90 and a humbucker. I think this was the first guitar that actually came out with this in recent times. I mean, I know P90s have been around forever. They're one of the best undiscovered pickups in South Africa as far as I'm concerned. You don't really see them a lot, but they're starting to appear a lot more often. So, tone control, coil splitting. So I'd say that I spend an equal amount of time in the show that I'm currently in on all 5 different sound combinations. So 1, back humbucker, 2 together, obviously neck pickup, then split, and then split with the P90. And I'd say I spend equal amounts of time on all of those combinations. Graphic saddles, I've had this guitar since January and I have not yet snapped a string. I think I've changed strings twice. And I use D'Addario 11 to 49. I like to dig in a bit, so 10s feel a bit rubber bandy to me, and 9s are absolutely out of the question. Okay, so talking about the pickup combination on the guitar. So obviously we've got the back humbucker, which I've got to be honest, I don't really spend a lot of time on. Middle is where I spend most of my time cleaning. So that's the back humbucker and the P90. So now I'll split the back humbucker. Which is great for funky type of. And then the P90, it's basically a really hot single coil. So I think they overwind the pickups compared to a normal single coil. Well, not overwind, it's just got more winding. So it's a really nice dark sound, but with the bite of a single coil. So as we move into the middle position, it gets a lot more straight. And obviously not with this amp on stage, but it is a very cool little amp. This is the Yamaha THR10, which is sort of an all-rounders type of practice amp. So I mean, it's got the clean channel, it's got a crunch channel, but I mean, obviously you'd have to EQ everything differently. It's got a lead channel. Bump the gain on that one. Brit high gain. And then modern channel, which I suppose if we had to kill the mids and pump the treble, would be more like a pedal pump. Just ended out the cut playing. I haven't picked up a guitar today. Can we do that one again? So I started playing guitar when I had just turned 12, I do believe. And that was as a result of the Prince Diamonds and Pearls album. He's a monster guitarist, monster musician. He's actually the entire reason why I am a musician at all. I kind of grew up in the music industry. My father was a well-known studio musician back in the 80s, and I spent all my time around it. So I think it was inevitable eventually that I was going to want to get involved somehow. So the Prince album really kicked it off for me. Loved Michael Jackson as a kid, guilty pleasures. And I'd say, you know, the first riff I ever learned to play was from a Beatles song called Please Please Me, which was just... Then the first guitar solo I ever learned was from a Beatles song. Yeah, that's it. From A Hard Day's Night. When I get home to you. So that's those are my earliest musical memories and influences. I learned to play an acoustic guitar, so I spent a lot of time with like Beatles songbooks. There was a great band from the 70s called America. They had a song called Horse with No Name. I couldn't remember how to play it now that I think about it. It's been so many years. But then I kind of moved on to figuring out classic rock songs. You know, just simple stuff like... And so the first guitar solo, again, it goes back to Prince. There was a song called 3 Chains of Gold off of the first album he did as that weird funny cymbal shaped thing, and there was like a big guitar solo at the end of that song, and that was really when the bug bit. I think about 1993, for my birthday, I asked my parents to buy me the Van Halen Live Right Here Right Now VHS. Remember those, kids? VHS. No, you don't. And Eddie Van Halen absolutely changed my life. He, I would say, up until recent times, he was my #1 guitarist of all time. Recently, though, he's been kind of knocked off the top spot by Sinister Gates from Avenged Sevenfold. I can't tell you how much I love that guy's guitar playing. Other big influences: Gary Moore, Zakk Wylde, most definitely. So those are my top 4. Gary Moore, Zakk Wylde, Eddie Van Halen, Sinister Gates. The guitar playing that has really spoken to me the most through the years. Advice that I would have for up-and-coming young guitarists. I mean, in this day and age, being able to play well is a requirement. It doesn't really set you apart from anybody else. I remember when I was learning to play guitar, I mean, we're talking about the early 90s through to the 2000s. I mean, guitar playing was completely unfashionable. It was bands like, you know, guitar playing like shred guitar playing, guitar solos, they weren't really the in thing. I mean, although there were fantastic guitar bands out there like Soundgarden, Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots. So, you know, and I started playing in cover bands when I was 16, and I was doing like Joe Satriani covers, Surfing with the Aliens, things like that. So in a time when that type of playing was unfashionable, I kind of stuck out. But you know, competition is a lot tougher nowadays. Being able to play well is a requirement. So I would say focus on your musicality as much as you can. Learn as many songs as you can. Figure out what it is about playing music that the general public relates to. Anybody can play scales, anybody can sit and shred. You know, there are a million YouTube guitarists that sit in their bedrooms and are absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, they play faster than I ever could imagine, but that's not what playing music is about. Music is about songs, and if you don't play for the song, you might as well not be playing. So that would be one of my biggest pieces of advice. The metronome is your best friend. When you get into the technical side of guitar playing, practice, always with the metronome. That's the only way to do it.